Welcome to my new lecture. In this lecture, I would be discussing topic 19.16 and 19.17 of the Fundamentals of the Physics book by Halliday, Resnick and Walker. Topic 19.16 is mean free path and topic 19.17 is distribution of molecular speeds. First of all, let's look at mean free path. It is represented by lambda and it is the average distance traversed by molecules between collisions. By molecules between collisions. To explain this, let us first consider that gas molecules of an ideal gas initially I suppose that they are all static, and suppose a moving gas molecules moves in a straight path. It changes its path as it collides with another molecule, and let's say it changes its direction in like this, and then let's say it collides like this. So it moves in a straight line between collisions and it changes its direction when it collides with another molecule. I have considered all other molecules to be static in this case. However, actually they are moving. Actually these are molecules are moving at some speed. I have considered them to be static. From this it looks like that the mean free path lambda should be proportional to number of molecules per unit volume, means density of these molecules. As the density of these molecules will increase, this mean free path will decrease. Suppose I have made some molecules static here. If the number of molecules will increase, the distance between collisions will decrease. So it is inversely proportional to lambda is inversely proportional to density of gas molecules. Another thing that can be noticed is lambda should also vary with respect to the size of molecule. As the size of the molecule grows large, the mean free path will decrease. I have shown it here in the form of an inversely proportional relation. Let's say if this is molecule and having a diameter d, this is a gas molecule having diameter d, then it should be inversely, lambda should be inversely proportional to this d. As d increase means the size of the molecule will increase. As the size of the molecule will increase, the mean free path will decrease. Rather, more appropriately we should write it down as it is inversely proportional to its area, pi d square. As we know that the area of a circle is pi r square. So I have written it as the diameter is d. So I have considered it to be cross-sectional area is pi d square, and lambda is inversely proportional to pi d square. Now the complete result for mean free path is equals to 1 over under root 2 pi d square cross section area into n over v. This is our mean free path, and there is a factor 1 over under root 2. I would later on discuss how it basically comes out. I have called this as equation A. This is our mean free path. Now the mean free path is calculated when the two molecules of the gas collide, and they collide when they come within the distance d to each other. Let's say if these are two gas molecules and it has diameter d, and this gas molecule has also diameter d, so it changes its path, and you basically calculate the mean free path when they collide with each other. And now these two molecules are colliding with each other, and this distance to this distance means center of these two from here to here, the distance is also d, equal to you can say diameter. And suppose both of them have equal mass m. You can think about these two molecules as a single molecule, and it has the same size at combined size of these two molecules, and it has got diameter 2d, d and plus d will make it 2d. Now as these molecules like this one moves after successive collision, it basically traverses like a cylinder. You can assume its shape to be that of a cylinder with cross-sectional area pi d square, and if this moves with velocity v, then in delta t it will cover distance v delta t. As we know that S is equals to Vt, I have assumed that this gas molecule has traversed a distance with speed v, and time is delta t, so this distance will be equal to v times delta t. And cylinder would be of this form, that this molecule traverses, it has this diameter which is 2d, and its cross-sectional area is pi d square, and it moves through distance v delta t. When we consider all these moving molecules, they take the form of this cylinder which has diameter 2d, cross-sectional area pi d square, and it traverses a distance of v delta t due to movement of these molecules. Now I am interested once again in calculating number of molecules. If I take number of molecules per unit volume and multiply it with the volume, then the quantity remains as number of molecules in which I am interested in. And here, to calculate number of molecules, N is number of molecule, V is volume, and volume of this cylinder comes out to be, its cross-sectional area is pi d square, and you multiply it with its length, that is equal to V delta T. This is the volume of this cylinder, and this is number of molecules per unit volume. These volumes will maybe you can say that they may be cancelled, and the resultant quantity would be number of molecules in which I am interested in. I just want to correct one mistake that may arise. This is number of collisions, not number of molecules. Number of collisions per unit volume into volume, and if I calculate it, this will give me number of collisions. So please correct in your notes that this capital N here means number of collisions. Moving forward, I can calculate the mean free path lambda as length of path during time delta t divided by number of collisions in delta t. I have calculated number of collisions in delta t and I can name this as equation B, and I know the length of the path during time interval delta t is V times delta t divided by number of collisions in time delta t. I can take them from equation B, which is pi d square V delta t n over V. And I, after doing a bit of mathematics, I find out that this lambda comes out to be pi d square n over V. So a factor of 1 over under root 2 has been removed. One should consider that this result has came out after the assumption that all the molecules except one that collides with another are at rest. See here that I have basically cancelled this V with V. However, both of these V convey different meanings. The V in the numerator is average speed of the molecules relative to container, and V in denominator is relative speed means this V in denominator is speed of a single molecule relative to the other molecules. This V is speed of a single molecule relative to other molecule. In calculating this expression C, I have taken into account that all other molecules are static. When we consider that other molecules are moving, which is the actual case, then these quantities V relative is actually equals to under root 2 times V average. And when you will substitute this result over here, you will get the same result as we have developed in our equation A. I repeat once again that in calculating equation C, I have considered that all the other molecules are static, while deriving this expression A over here, I have taken the molecules to be moving. So you can come to this result of equation A from C by considering that V relative is equal to under root 2 times the V average. So we should notice that the mean free path is inversely proportional to density of molecules. The air molecules at sea level have mean free path of 0.1 micrometer, and at an altitude of 100 kilometer, the mean free path becomes 16 centimeter. As we move towards the altitude, the density of molecules decreases, so its mean free path increases. At sea level, as the density is higher, the mean free path of air particles is 0.1 micrometer. But at an altitude of 100 kilometer, this becomes 16 centimeter. It means the density of gas molecules of air molecules at such an altitude is lower as compared to sea level. So its mean free path increases. This was first part of our discussion. Now I would move towards topic 19.7. Distribution of molecular speeds. To start this topic, I expect the students to be able to know what is the mean of distribution in terms of probability. Probability distribution means all that you can calculate all the probabilities of a variable. Here the variable would be molecular speed, and the distribution would be given. Suppose if the probability of occurrence is, let's say, if I take here as speed, and here is its along y-axis is probability, and the curve comes out like this. This is a normal curve. Over here will be its mean value, and this would be its variation. So one should be able to know what is meant by distribution. Distribution is basically all the probabilities of the random variable relative to this with respect to this speed. Why the question comes to mind, why we are now looking at distribution of molecular speed. We have calculated root mean square value of gas molecules confined in a box in our previous discussion. However, we are interested in the fractions, like which molecules have speeds higher than the average RMS speed, and which molecules or the number of molecules that have speed lesser than RMS value. So distribution of molecular speed helps us to calculate the molecular speeds which are greater or lesser than the RMS value. This is the main reason of elaborating this topic. In 1852, Maxwell introduced a Maxwell's distribution law, in which he gave P of V, means के probability distribution with random variable speed, to be equals to 4 pi m over 2 pi RT V square, V में speed e raised to power minus m V square over 2 RT. Here P doesn't mean pressure or momentum, it means probability distribution. This m is molar mass, this R is universal gas constant, T is temperature, V is molecular speed, this is E is for exponential, minus, and m is again molar mass, V is square molecular speed square over 2 gas constant into T. If you know, have some idea of the distribution, this resembles a normal distribution curve, right? Now let's again come, this is the graphical representation of something, some distribution like this. Now as we know that integration means area under the curve. If I calculate it, let's say if it starts from 0 and its tail will touch this speed axis at infinity, then 0 to infinity, this distribution along with dV, this is the area under the curve of this whole distribution, of this whole figure. It must be equals to 1, and it is one of the axioms of the probability that total area under the curve or total probability should be total probability should be equal to 1. So area under this whole curve should be equals to 1. And if we are interested in calculating of, let's say, probability distribution in some particular area, let me call this as V1 and this is, let's say, V2. I want to calculate this area, right? Now I am not interested in whole area under the curve, but between this V1 and between these two molecular speed. If I want to calculate this, then I have to use the formula. I will integrate it between these 2 points, V1 and V2, PV times dV. This would give me the probability distribution between these two molecular speed. How many molecules will be in these two ranges of molecular speed? I can calculate using this formula. This is, let's say, a fraction, right? And then I would be able to know how many molecules or which molecules have speeds greater than this V2 and which lie between these V1 and V2. That was the basic reason why we came towards Maxwell distribution law from RMS speed, because we wanted to calculate RMS speeds greater, the molecules having speeds greater than RMS and less than RMS speed. Moving on further in this topic, if we want to calculate average, RMS and most probable speeds. What would be the formulas, how we can calculate them, we would see in this topic. But first I would like to write down the general expression that I have calculated, that I have written in the previous page, that was given by Maxwell distribution law, molecular speed distribution law. P of V is equals to 4 pi m over 2 pi r e raised to power v square e raised to power minus mv square over 2rt. This was my expression that I used in previous page. The average or expected value or mean in probability is calculated when you multiply the random variable with its distribution and integrate it between those points. If I want to calculate the average molecular speed, it means this V is my random variable. I would integrate it, I would use this random variable V and multiply it with its distribution and integrate it over dV. Suppose if you want to calculate the expected value and average are same, general formula is like this: expected value of x or average of x, let me write as x average, should be equals to random variable into its distribution and integration over dx over the limits. Since the distribution is from greater than 0 to infinity, I would take it like this. This would give me my average speed. Now I know this P of V, I would substitute its value. This is 0 to infinity. V, P of V, I can substitute its value from here, 4 pi m over 2 pi r v square e raised to power minus m v square over 2rt dv. Integration is on variable v, and you can see that it's v cube exponential raised to power minus mv square. You have to calculate this integral to get the average speed. You can use the formula number 20 in appendix E of the book, which is given by, I am writing it down, 0 to infinity x raised to power 2n plus 1 e raised to power minus ax square dx is equals to n factorial over 2a raised to power n plus 1. Now you have to make resemblance. All these are constants, right? And this quantity inside would be, if I write it down in formal way, it would be, this would be cancelled, 2 m over r v cube e raised to power minus mv square over 2r t. This is my expression. Now this n over here is equals to 1, right? And this a is equals to minus m a. If I make resemblance, n with this one, with this expression, n should be equals to 1 and a should be equals to m over 2r. So the solution of this should be equals to, it is given by n factorial over 2 a n plus 1. Using these values, this should V average should be equals to 2 m over r would be as it is, and n over here is 1. 1 factorial would be 1. 2 a is m over 2r raised to power n plus 1. This would be 2, right? N is 1 and 1 plus 1 would be 2. So if I doing a bit of mathematics, it would result in 8 RT by pi m. This would be our average molecular speed. Now to calculate the RMS speed, we require not the average speed but V square average speed. V square average speed would be calculated by running on the similar steps. 0 to infinity I would integrate, and this random variable V square will be multiplied with the distribution and integrated to dV. For this case, you would use the formula number 16 of the appendix E, which is given as integral of zero to infinity x raised to power 2n exponential minus ax square dx should be equals to 135 up to 2n minus 1 over 2 raised to power n plus 1 a raised to power n under root pi over a. You will again make resemblance as I made over here. You will make resemblance of this with your distribution when after putting the value of p of v from here to this one, and you will make resemblances, then you will come to solve this integral. After solving this through the integral, the V square average comes out to be 3RT by m, and we know that the RMS value is under root of V square average, as we have discussed in previous section. So VRMS would be equals to under root of 3RT by m. This is my RMS speed of the gas molecules, and previously I have calculated the average speed of the gas molecules, which was 8 RT by m. In next part I have to calculate the most probable speeds. Most probable speeds means those speeds which will occur most likely, or which have greater probability of having the molecules having these speeds is greater. The probability of molecules having these speed is large. That's why they are known as most probable speed, given by V sub of P. I would calculate it by taking dPV by dV equals to 0, and by derivating this distribution, molecular distribution with respect to V, and putting it equal to 0 will give me the result in terms of most probable speed. You know this is the same method as of calculating maxima and minima. I have to take derivative of d by dv, and I know pv is 4 pi m over 2 pi rt v square e raised to power minus mv square over 2 rt, and I have to put it equal to 0. Now all these are constant values, right? They are not dependent upon v, and they will get 0 when they will come here, and the quantity remains d by dv of v square e raised to power minus mv square over 2 rt equals to 0. Now I have to apply the product rule, right, to solve this derivative. The derivative of the first would remain as it is. Derivative of this one would be e raised to power minus mv square over 2 rt into its derivative would be minus 2 mv over 2 rt plus its derivative would be 2v e raised to power minus mv square over 2 rt equals to 0. This is derivative of this term. I can take common this exponential, and when I will take common this exponential will get 0. So the quantity remains as if I take out common as, let's say, this is v square, and a single v will also be taken as common, and it will be it will get 0 when it will come to right side, and the quantity which remains is v square m over rt plus all of this would be plus 2 is equals to 0. When you will take common and put this v is equals to vp, then the resultant expression of most probable speeds would be 2rt by m. This is the expression for most probable speeds. So now after doing these mathematics, I have calculated first on the previous page, this is my average speed, and then on this page I have first calculated the RMS speed, and then I have calculated the probable speeds of these gas molecules. One should notice that a molecule is more likely to have speed Vp than any other speed, but some molecules will have speed that are many times of that Vp. Some molecules have speeds greater than Vp. These molecules lie in the high speed tail of a distribution curve. If I again draw the distribution curve like this along, it's a very rough diagram, but along this was speed and over here was probability distribution. This Vp is the most probable speed, but some molecules have speeds higher than this probable speed, although most of the molecules have speed equal to that of probable speed. And those molecules which have speeds higher than this probable speed lie in this high tail area, right? Lie in this area. This is known as high tail. This is known as high speed tail. High speed tail. This phenomena can be explained on the basis of high speed tail, can be discussed in case of rain. Normally the water molecules have probable speed, but some molecules have high speed that they lie in the region of high speed tail. Such molecules evaporate and leave the surface of the water, and then the clouds are formed and ultimately we get rain. When these molecules which have speeds higher than the probable speed leave, the other molecules that are surrounding those water molecules take the position of those molecules, and so the distribution of these molecules is maintained and it is not disturbed. This distribution can also be used to explain the protons in the core of the sun. The sun's energy is supplied by a nuclear fusion process that starts with the merging of two protons. However, protons repel each other because of their electrical charges, and protons of average speeds do not have enough kinetic energy to overcome the repulsion and get close enough to merge. Very fast neutrons with speeds in the high speed tail of the distribution curve can, however, do this. For that reason the sun can shine, and this also applies to the shining of the sun, as I have explained. I hope you have come to terms with the topic of distribution of molecular speeds and their average RMS and probable value of speed. Now let's look at a numerical. This is numerical number 33 of the book. 10 molecules are moving with the following speeds. 4 are moving at 200 meter per second, 2 are moving at 500 meter per second, and 4 are moving at 600 meter per second. You have to calculate the average speed, the RMS speed, and in the last part you have to calculate if the average speed is greater than RMS speed or not. You should know the basic formulas of average and RMS speeds, then you can easily calculate them. I am leaving this numerical to all of you to check your understanding. If you find difficulties, you can let me know in your comment section, that you are unable to solve or you are able to solve this numerical, and let's say if you are unable to solve it, I would explain this numerical in some other lecture. I am leaving it to you as a test of your knowledge of today's lecture. Hope you have understood this lecture. It was a bit tricky and difficult one, but you can also consult with the book if there is any difficulty, and you can give your suggestions or any question in the comment section. Thank you all for your time.